You are now listening to the sounds of
Milkcrates Microphones.
There you go. All right, so joining us now is a hip-hop artist that's been around for a while. I think the first time I heard him was off of his Strange Famous debut, and he's somebody that went by formerly known as Prolyphic, now known as Mopes. Thank you for joining us, Mopes. Thanks for coming out and having a conversation with us. I know it's later where you're at, but we're over here on the West Coast, so it's still sun's still up for us.
All good. Thanks for having me on.
Hell yeah, man. So let's talk about the name change, because I think that's something that we were super interested in, because I knew when I first heard your music it was as Prolyphic. What inspired the name change, and kind of what made you eventually make that full change and go full in?
All right. So I had hit a point after Dangerfield, which was the last album I put out under the name Prolyphic. That was like 2016. That I was just kind of, I got just kind of done with like taking it seriously, meaning like putting music out consistently and you know, trying to consistently put music out for other people. Right. I was a dad, 2 kids at the time. I still have 2 kids, but that was like new to me, right?
2 kids at the time. They're gone now.
Glad to hear they're still around.
Kids, yeah,
The kids are grown and gone now.
yeah. But I was just like, I was kind of like transitioning to a new chapter, you know? And that's kind of why I came up with the name Dangerfield, too, for that album. It just felt like this kind of closing and full circle of who I was as an artist. The first like real album I put out was self-produced, and the last one was kind of self-produced. So it just felt like this like closing of the chapter. And then I told myself if I was going to come back after this, that I was going to change my name. I don't know why I thought this. I don't know. That's kind of what I thought. And then went through a bunch of shit between 2016 and 2020. And music kind of came back into my life, and I realized how much I missed it and how much it was such a huge part of my identity. Just as a person, you know, like, because I've been doing hip hop consistently since I was like 17, you know, and I'm 40 now. And I was like, I don't know. I just like, I felt the bug again, you know, with the pandemic happening. I had going through a divorce. It just felt like the thing that had always been there for me needed to kind of come through again, which was music and writing and producing and creating and all that kind of thing. Because I've always been in love with the process of it. You know, like I've always like, you know, to digging, to writing in my notebook, making beats, like all that stuff is just super therapeutic for me. So it just felt like the right time for me to do so. So I was like, fuck this. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it from the ground up. You know what I mean? Like it just feels like a rebirth to who I am as an artist, you know? And I had Mopes was kind of like a name I had in like my head for a while when I was kind of coming up as Prolyphic. I was like, I don't know if that's the right name. So that's the Mopes name was always kind of like in the background. Yeah. And then I was like, fuck it, this seems like the right time. I'm going to be 40. You know what I mean? I'm like, I got nothing to lose, you know? So I hit up Sage. I was like, I'm working on a bunch of music. Are you down to put it out? I want to change my name. And yeah, what do you think? And he was fucking for it. So me, him, and Storm came up with the strategy, and the shit's been good so far.
Yeah. We're loving the new music. Yeah. I mean, it's awesome.
Solid.
And it's not too much of a stray from what you were doing before, so which is awesome. Always stayed grounded. I do like that you're talking about the process of making music and digging, and that's always something I think I found interesting. And when anything I get interested in hobby wise, I always like to dig into it deeper, and it's always like the background, especially like music. It's the writing process, it's the picking the sample, making the beat, the production, the editing, like all that stuff. When did you start getting into producing? Because you talked about producing your first album. Yeah. What got you into producing? Were you rapping first and producing, or what was that transition?
So I was rapping first. I was like kind of going through the the hard learning curve of what it means to rap, you know what I mean? Because I used to write in my bedroom and I would record like my little demos, but then when I started to actually perform at open mics, it's just a completely different story when you're in front of an audience. And then also like, you know, it makes you a better writer and it makes you a better recorder, meaning like when you're in the booth recording, you know what I mean? Like, so it just so I had to like hone that skill first. I got better at it, and then I was like, I need beats, and I'm too cheap to pay for beats, and so I just started fucking around, you know, and I had to like figure out how beats were made.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, the process of making beats now.
Yeah, growing up as a kid, I didn't understand it until like in my later teens of how it was actually produced, you know, because I just like I saw like Premier and RZA and Pete Rock and those guys, just thinking like the shit was like magic. You know, they kind of like, you know,
you didn't know the layers. Yeah, I didn't understand what the hell was going on. Then once I understood that they were taking these samples, like these break loops, and they were taking these sample loops and they were putting them into this drum machine and they were chopping them up. And then I was like, oh shit, I started to have like I could see the vision of it, of like how it was being made. So I was like, I think I can do this. So I obviously all the beats I made in the beginning were just trash. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And the first like demo I put out was just a motley mix of like my trash beats with some of this dude Sunspark, who was actually a good producer out of Long Island, and just like some other local producers that were okay. So I put that out, and then this dude had trashed me. He kind of gave me a bad review as a producer, so I was like, it just gave me that like Jordan fire that I needed to
to try harder,
to get better. Yeah, try harder and get better at it, and that's what I did. I just fucking worked my ass off to figure out what it was, and I didn't have anybody that really mentored me. I would just, when I would come across people, I would ask them questions. So then I just got better at it, you know. It's just like put in those 10,000 hours.
Yeah, that make you a pro.
Make this shit work. And I think finally now at this stage that I've got it. Like I know like the sound I want, like, and like I can see the progression, like because you're gonna hear like the EP to the album I produced with BlackLiq to the Unwound album I just produced, and the projects coming up. All the production just keeps growing.
On Unwound, how did you find the sound you were cueing in to look for? Like when you were putting all the beats together, how did you keep the beats in somewhat of like of a recognition of all kind of like being like in that same type of pattern of moving forward? And like how did you come up with the name Unwound for the album? Sorry, it's a two-parter. My bad.
So because I'm working with other artists now as a producer, I kind of have like a like compartmentalized in my head like what I want their sounds to be, right? Like what I want their overall feel of their albums to be. And I knew I knew that my album was going to be on the slower side BPM wise, and it was going to be I hate saying like classic sounding, but it was gonna have that vibe to it, that stuff that I love, like that New York 90s, but not feeling so retro that it doesn't feel current.
You sound like that though. It works for you. Like your voice, the way you sound, you sound real like Alchemist grimy, like on them old beats. Like you sound like what I'm looking for. Like you're scratching the itch of like I don't know what else to call it, but cement, like ground cement, grimy, like foundation. Like, I mean, dude, that's what I'm looking for.
I mean, that's what I grew up on. That's what I love. So, like, and you know, I'm not sure how old you guys are, but I grew up in the era of like you don't want to sound like other people.
No.
But that doesn't mean you can't be influenced by other people, right? So like I'm influenced by Alchemist. I'm influenced by Rock Marciano. I'm influenced by Griselda. Like all those dudes. Like I love that shit. But I want to take it and do my own thing with it. So that's kind of what that's what I'm trying to do. So I'm trying to come up with my sound, but it's in that grimy
that sense.
Cement. We were just having before we started recording, we were just having this conversation about how, you know, coming up it was always about trying to find stuff that was different. Like, yeah, we could listen to the radio, but everyone's listening to those songs. We're gonna dig and try to find something that, and that's what leads you to, you know, into the underground or whatever that is.
It leads you to everybody.
That's exactly what you're saying. Is that when you're picking your sound, you're like, I don't want to sound like anybody else. Like, you know what I mean? Like when we were growing up, to come to school with the same shoes as your homie, I was
clown.
like, you do not
Never
fucking do
buy
that.
the same shoes as your
Man,
boy
yeah,
got
you
them.
don't want to wear the same clothes as somebody else.
Hell no.
Spider.
So the same thing with the style. It's like you want to make sure you sound totally different and create your own style, and you definitely have that.
Yeah, because that was always the whole point for me. It's like, why do I want to sound like somebody else? I'm never gonna be. I was never in it for that. You know, I mean, there's a lane for people to do that, but that's just I'm not.
But in a
That's
sense,
just not.
I want to yell at these guys though when they change, when they leave that style though. You know what I mean? When they walk away from what.
Well, you evolve. You gotta evolve at some point.
There's a fine line to it though. There's like, because you want to evolve as an artist, right? Because you don't want to always keep making the same sound. But then there's you can tell that people when they want to jump to
be fitting in.
To fit in.
Exactly.
Trendy stuff,
I hate that shit.
Yeah. I mean, but it's like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, at this point, I'm just like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, I know the shit that I like to listen to, and it's like, if you want to go do that, it's like, I respect you as an artist to do that stuff, but I don't have to listen to it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
At this point,
good, well put.
Yeah, at this point with the internet and with how much music is out there, if you don't like something, keep it moving, keep it scrolling.
Yeah.
You'll find there's something
It
out
just
there that
hurts
you will
me
like.
when it's your favorite. Dudes.
I know, but
That's
you gotta
all.
let them. Everybody grows when you're, because we're in our late 36, 35, mid 30s. So I mean, yeah, when we were listening to artists in the late 90s, early 2000s, they were in their 19, 20 years old, and now they're making music.
Yeah, they don't have that. They have a different foundation
for sure, a different experience.
I mean, like Alchemist is one of the dudes that like he's finding a way to evolve.
He's getting better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it gets better.
He's getting
but
better.
He still has that root of like. It has that root in that sound that we all love. So
I think he stays crisp.
There's ways to do it, you know.
Through like, I think he stays crisp through like Bronson and those guys. You know, like that new, because
he's
Bronson
working
stays
with a bunch of
Ghostfacey,
different-
but not. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that he found a crew of folks that he likes to work with who push him in a way, but allow him to be himself. Like he doesn't have to go out and make like trap beats.
It's like you said, it's like walking that tight line of you're gonna evolve, but you're still staying true to what you were, and you're still not trying to be something that you're not to fit in. You're walking that fine line the entire time.
I don't know if Hit Boy is kind of the same thing. Like Hit Boy did the Benny the Butcher stuff and the Nas stuff, and he's been able to find the lane of like having that classic sound, but also making it feel fresh.
Tara Reid. Tara Reid too. I feel like he's on that old school hip hop feel, but still keeping it sharp. You know, like that style. You know, and I like that shit.
I really liked that Nas and Hit Boy album. It was pretty good. Reminded me of that, definitely that old school vibe that you're talking about. You know, you mentioned DJ Premier and RZA. You know, what other artists did you grow up listening to, and who inspired you to, you know, say, hey, I want to make music, I want to do this? All
right, and I'll also answer that other question about the title.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah,
we're all over the place. This is the way this podcast is. We ramble. We're all over.
Nah, it's all good. So I mean, I grew up on all the classic stuff. So like my first like wave of stuff of sound was Public Enemy, NWA, Rakim. As soon as I heard Rakim, I was like, holy shit! Like this is the dude to me. Like he was just on another level that.
Smooth.
That was the sound for me.
Yeah, he's
just smooth. Oh man, it's just like his flow is smooth, his wordplay, like it was just all there. I mean, G-Rap
wasn't playing
on me. Mobb Deep, Wu, Black Moon, you know, DITC, you know, I mean, basically all the Duck Down, you know, Down, Black Moon, Smith and Wesson, like all that stuff. Redman. So that's my whole foundation, you know, Gangstar Foundation, J. Rue, Gangstar, Group Home. So all that's all the stuff that I grew up listening to. And the root of that for me was that my parents listened to like James Brown, Curtis Mayfield, Bill Withers, Sly and the Family Stone, Average White Band. So all the stuff that these guys were sampling, that's what I grew up listening to as a kid. So it was just like an easy kind of like
transition.
Your ears picked it up.
Yeah.
You would hear those beats.
Growing up in the Northeast, we just like, as much as like, you know, I grew up in the suburb of Providence, but we still got that, like you had to go through Providence to get to Boston from New York.
Yeah.
You know, so we would get that. We would get that like mixtapes and stuff and the college radio station that I grew up listening to would play that kind of like underground stuff and all that. So yeah, I mean that's the DNA of who I am as an artist.
Yeah.
You know?
That real grimy East Coast hip hop.
Yeah, I can't do anything
music.
Else but that.
I understand that.
Cold.
We talk about that all the time. I try to listen to new stuff, and it's like I always find myself just going back to old stuff, and it is what it is. You know, it's a subjective art form. I say that all the time. It's a subjective art form. Whatever. Yeah. I hate people saying that this person is the best because he's the best to you, but to somebody else that you know, some
he
people
might be
feel
the third or
different.
fourth.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And if you're listening to music on like a personal level that like you want to connect with it, I mean, it's that you either connect with the thing or you don't. It's like when people aren't a fan of me, don't feel it's like it's all good. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like there's a lot of stuff that I don't like, but that doesn't mean it's not good. It's just that it doesn't hit me.
Or that you've made that somebody not you, but like a band might have made that you're like, I'm not a fan of that song. But there is songs that people do like that you're not a fan of, but you're still a fan of them. You know what I mean? You still feel
them. I mean, let me think. So you know that dude Russ?
Yeah.
You know who Russ is?
Yeah.
We know Russ.
So I'm not a real fan of his music.
Me neither.
But I'm a big fan of his grind. I mean, the dude records, writes, produces, mixes his own shit.
Hard worker.
Has his own brand. Yeah, so it's like it was hard for me to hate on that dude, even though he comes off as like
arrogant.
Yeah, it kind of his ego gets in the way sometimes.
Hey, but
I'm like, I gotta respect this dude's.
There's groups people hate him too. A lot of people hate him though, and you're not just the only one to say that. I mean, he comes off like people hate the guy.
Respect that he's doing his thing. You know, like.
But if he's doing it right though, if you're hated, people know you, and if they know you, they respect you, and that's what it is.
He's backing it up. It's like his shit. I mean, it's again like his shit.
Quality,
good.
Quality.
Yeah, he's got quality.
You're very right. You're very right.
It's like I'm not bumping it.
I'm just not a fan. Feel you.
Yeah. So. There's a lot of people at that level where, and even like I'd say even some of the more experimental stuff like I'm like anybody specific, but people who are trying to do things experimentally, like use their voice as an instrument, or they're doing more of a jazzy or experimental kind of hip hop stuff where I might not dig it and listen to it all the time, but I'm like, I respect it for where you're trying to push.
It was kind of like CeeLo doing his rap shit with Goody Mob, and then he jumped down to the CeeLo Green.
But that pulls other fans, though. Random people that might not have ever been a fan of you might like that, and then they hear your other shit, and they're like, I can always like this man.
For sure.
So that pulls from different genres.
He's kind of dope, too.
Yeah, it's super dope. I love CeeLo. CeeLo's tight as fuck. I like his, when he went on Cribs. And he had the chair. He lifts the chair. You invite everybody over. They take pictures in, and he's just sitting on it, 1 foot, left foot. Yeah, dude, CeeLo's a boss, bro.
The selfie chair. Hey, you also threw out, Sage Francis. I saw that picture that Sage posted of, you going over there for some poker night type stuff. You guys are buddies.
Like
when did you first meet Sage Francis? When did you cross paths with Sage Francis?
So, I first heard of him through the WRIU radio station because I was listening to that, like the Megan Stress show. That was the show that I would typically listen to, and he would go up there and like kick freestyles and shit. So I kind of knew of him that way, and I wasn't necessarily like a fan of him yet. I was just like, all right, this dude can rap, whatever. And then he got his own radio show at the station. And then we were both going to this open mic at the this place called the Black Repertory Theater in Providence, and I would see him there. He had more of a name than I did, but I would see him there and we would cross paths. And it wasn't until I gave him my demo to play on his radio show that like we really kind of interacted with each other, and he ended up playing it on his radio show. And ever since then, he kind of checked up on me, and I'd ask him questions and stuff. Like he was kind of like a big brother to me in that scene. And then when I saw him do some of his spoken word at AS220, that's when I was like, whoa, this dude's an incredible writer.
He's insane.
And I'm like, I'm not a huge spoken word kind of person, but I'm a fan of good writers, and I'm a fan of good MCs. When I heard him, he just took it to another level that I hadn't heard anybody really do yet in person. You know, I know there were other people doing it. Like Atmosphere was out, like Anacon was out, but he found his lane of to find his own voice, and I was like, whoa. And his writing was incredible. So I was like, oh shit. And then after that, I had bumped into him at Scribble Jam, and he introduced me to a bunch of people. And from that point, that was in like 99, it was 2000, I think, or 2001. And he introduced me to Kevin Beacham, introduced me to Solar, Anacon, a bunch of other people. Dope. And then from that point on, we kind of kept in touch. And he was on a road that he was blowing up, and I was still kind of grinding, doing my thing. And then at some point, he had reached out to me in like 2004, 2005 to see if I was down. He's going to start a label and if I wanted to be on his label.
Which is so fucking dope.
That's awesome too.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's like,
he kept you in his thoughts.
It just made sense because like I didn't really know where I would fit.
He knew where you would fit.
Yeah,
he
exactly.
fucking knew. He kept you in his thoughts. That's dope.
Kind of doing my thing, and and I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot from Reanimator. I learned a lot from making The Ugly Truth, just as an artist. Like I always tell this story of like, I always loved 90s New York shit, but The Ugly Truth wouldn't have had that sound without Reanimator, obviously. Like it took me in a different direction as a writer, and how to write songs differently, how to create peaks and valleys in a song, so it's not just like a drum loop with the sample, how to make an actual song, make an actual album that has a feel
to walk you through it. Bring you in. So, yeah, I feel that.
I feel like you really mastered that sound, man. Ugly Truth, super fucking dope album, beginning to end, man. And
thank you.
Just over that production, like you did it right,
Yeah, was working with Reanimator, was that a moment that really helped push your production as well?
Oh fuck yeah!
Like you learned so much.
Because he was doing things that I could see first person kind of thing. Because I could hear what other producer was doing, and I could try to guess, but I just had access to him. Yeah. And I would hear beats from like the rough draft stage to the fine draft stage, and then the final was like, whoa! Like he took it from this a concept to this polished finish, and it's like, holy shit.
That Bob Ross.
Yeah, and he and we did the whole shit over the internet. We never, because he was in Chicago, I was in Rhode Island, but we still made the shit work. So it was, again, like I don't think I'd have the sound that I have today. I don't think I'd be the producer I am today without doing that album with him.
As a producer now too, because you talk about working over the internet back then, as a producer, because that's becoming way more prevalent nowadays, would you rather work in person with the artist?
Yeah, 100%. There's a vibe that happens in the studio that you just can't replicate, because you do things, you feed off each other. There are moments where you're just like, oh, is this where I want to go? And when you can bounce ideas off of people, it influences the directions that you move in. It influences the decisions that you make. But if you're just kind of doing it in your in your own space, it's fine. But when you're working in a group dynamic, it's definitely better to be in person. Which, I mean, because of COVID and the pandemic and just everybody's personal life, it's so hard to do. If you want to get things done, you kind of just have to do the best you can, and do shit over the internet.
Yeah, you work with what you got at this point.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
But in a perfect world, it would be in the studio with an artist every time.
Yeah, I mean, those are some of my favorite moments, where everybody's just. I remember when I was coming up, when we would connect with different people. Someone would make a beat on the spot. Everybody would write on the spot. We would record on the spot, and it was just like that shit. You can't replicate that.
That's back to what you were saying about loving the process. I mean, you're cutting a huge chunk of the process out by doing it over the internet. Yeah, I mean,
there's something that happens in that moment where everybody's in the room together and we're all focused on one thing that you can't replicate it by yourself. But I also love, like, when I do my solo stuff, I love to be in my zone, in my space, doing my thing. and that's kind of like, that's why my albums a lot of times are really personal, is because I'm just in it. Like I'm in it by myself, and like I'm like
lone wolf.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want to do.
No one's gonna tell you no.
This is the sound that I hear, and this is the sound that I want. And if people dig it, great. If people don't, it's all good, you know. But this is the sound that I want to put out.
But that's
there. So there's a you know, there's a benefit to doing that like on solo projects, but there's definitely something that is left out when you're not in the same spaces on a group album.
For sure. It's about being in your comfort zone, and you know, when you're like you're saying, when you're doing your solo shit, you can kind of get into this kind of zone where you feel comfortable, but then also it's comfortable to be in a studio with people. I can totally see that.
I can sense it.
You know, when you're when you're recording some real personal shit, it's a lot easier to do that when it's just me. You know what I mean? I'm legit like hit and record. I'm in my closet holding the microphone. You know what I mean? And it has this really raw, intimate feeling to it that I don't know if I'd be able to replicate if I went into a studio, you know, when it was full of people and I had an engineer and all that stuff.
Yeah, you wouldn't feel comfortable to be yourself 100%. I feel that.
Yeah, you're just like, I'm laying it all out.
Yeah.
Like this is like 100% raw, and you capture some of these moments that like even in on some moments on Unwound, like my voice will crack a little bit, and I left it in it. Yeah, it just felt right. It just felt like right. Having those little blips in there felt real, instead of always having to have this like perfection,
just set the mood,
clean take.
And also, exactly. And also, when you're by yourself, you don't feel that pressure of wasting people's time or.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or like you're trying to you know how it is when you're rapping, like you're trying to you're trying to come off like, you know, and make people like turn their head kind of thing.
Exactly.
Where when you're getting real like deep inside yourself. You know what I mean?
It just comes out naturally.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to do.
For sure. You talked about being where you're at in Rhode Island, being right between Boston and New York. Where does that leave you as a sports fan? Are you leaning more Boston, or do you go more New York?
Okay, so all right. So at this point right now, I've been in the DC area for the last 9 years.
Okay.
Right. That doesn't mean that I'm a DC fan of anything. Just
you Commanders, what's happening here. Commanders.
I grew up a Jets and a Yankees fan because my dad and my grandfather was a Jets and a Yankees fan.
Okay.
Rhode Island's pretty much split between New York and Boston, so it's like a lot of Giants fans, a lot of Yankees fans, but it's mostly Red Sox and Patriots fans. Yeah. But on the other side, I am a Celtics fan. I don't pay attention to the hockey as much as I used to, but I would consider myself a Bruins fan.
So you're split down the middle. You're 50-50.
Yeah, and honestly, with the Jets now, I don't even fucking pay attention. I mean, I'll like watch the scores and shit. I can't watch them anymore.
That's tough. That's a tough one.
I mean, Zach Wilson's like he's got tremendous skill and ability, but the front office of the Jets is just like systemic failure.
The ceiling on Zach Wilson is, I mean, he could be Aaron Rodgers, but with what they're working with and the front office, the coaching
is just a disaster.
It could be a lot. Yeah. It could turn out bad. It can. Yeah.
I'm a fan.
And I stopped really paying attention to the Yankees once they signed A-Rod.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah, because they were winning when they had scrappy guys, and they had like Paul O'Neill, Bernie Williams, Tino Martinez, all those dudes, and like now when they started hiring like big guns, like A-Rod and like Miguel Cabrera and all that stuff, it was like,
yeah, I feel that. Well, being from the West Coast, I've always been a Yankee hater, so I can't. I got nothing good to say about them. I got nothing good to say about them, but
yeah, man. Hey, I'm an A's fan and a 49ers fan, and the Jets have former 49ers defensive coordinator Robert Saleh over there, and I'm a fan of Robert Saleh.
Yeah,
I think he's a great.
I am too, man. He's just got a huge uphill battle.
Oh, I know, man.
It's just it's like a pit of shit that he's
pit of shit.
The Jets have stunk for a long while.
It's just I've seen so many. I was such a diehard. Me and my dad would watch the games, and I was a kid, and I can't anymore.
Yeah.
Hopefully in the future, man.
Yeah.
Going back to your first debut album that came out, An Alarm Clock Set for 901. I think it's a great album, man.
That's a great album.
And self-produced, as you say. Let's talk a little bit about the mindset about making that album. How old were you when you were making that album, and what was the mindset like?
So let's see. I was like, that was like 2001 to 2003. So I was like between 20 and 22.
Okay.
The mindset of that album was, again, it was really to figure out who I was as an artist and where I fit in. Because at that point there was like atmosphere, company flow, like as far as like underground shit.
Company flow is amazing.
Company flow, Mr. Lift, Sage, Aesop, Living Legends, like so I was like, where do I fit in all this? You know what I mean? Like, where can I, because that was my lane. My lane was that scene, right? So like, how do I craft my own sound? And I was always into like slow shit, like that 75 BPM to like 88 BPM. And not a lot of producers worked in that. Not a lot of anybody worked in that lane. And that's kind of where I was like, that's the sound I want, like that,
It's like a lo-fi kind of.
Yeah, it's just like, before lo-fi
was before lo-fi was lo-fi, yeah, kind of, for real.
Yeah, and that's and I was like, I don't want to, and like, as far as my writing goes, I was like, I don't want to be, I'm not a spoken word dude, you know what I mean? That's not my, like, I rap, so I was like, but I want to talk up, because why I started writing was because that's how I kind of dealt and cope with shit, and just how I wanted to express myself. So I was like, I wanted to talk about who I was and things I was going through, but also be on some rap shit. So that was kind of the blend I wanted to do over beats that were in that, like beats that I liked. That was, could be jazzy, could be soulful, could be like psych rocky. And I wanted to control the sound. And that's kind of how that album, that's how I approached that album when I was a kid. And I didn't really know what I was doing. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like I was coming into my own. Like I feel like it's definitely better than like the first demo I ever put out. Mm-hmm. But I was still really raw. Like I didn't know anything about mixing and mastering. I just knew how to write and make like a pretty dusty beat, and that was kind of that was what I was going for. And I think that's all I needed to accomplish, was to just get my foot in the door.
Yeah.
And have something to sell that like I felt proud of. And it accomplished that, it got me to Galapagos 4, which is a label out of Chicago. I put out an album with this dude Robust, and that kind of, it's just like the stepping stones to kind of keep going further in the process and further in the industry, so.
Most definitely. I like that album because it is so raw, and it is so,
Let me take you
coming from the soul.
Let me take you left field.
Yeah.
Right now, when you go, like, what is your personal, like, man, this is what I'm bumping right now, this is what I'm into, I want to put you guys up on it, I think you should check it out type of music?
I mean, you guys know about Stove God, and who Stove God Cooks is?
No.
Nope.
Okay, Stove God Cooks, Rome Streets. You guys know who Rome Streets is?
Nope.
You're putting us up right now.
Yeah, you are.
Okay, Rome Streets is dope. Rome Streets just signed you know who Griselda is?
Griselda, yes.
Okay, so Rome Streets just signed a Griselda. You know about Boldy James?
Never heard of Boldy James.
Okay, Boldy James did a couple albums with Alchemist. He did the Tea in China or Tea Imports, and then Bo Jackson album. Rome Streets did an album with that dude Ransom.
Super techno ball album over here. How about the fuck? Okay, I'm checking this shit out right now.
Yeah, check. So
I definitely will.
Actually, there's this dude out of Michigan called Substance 810. Super dope. He just put out an album with this dude Chuck Chan. Actually, I hit up Substance and hoping to do some work with him. He's dope. So dope shit, this dope stuff's out there. It's just there's so much to sift through.
There's a lot
to find what you're looking for. Yeah, but Stove God Cooks is dope.
Homeboy Boldy James be fucking working. It looks like this man be putting out work.
Which one?
Boldy James. That man be putting work out. Jesus Christ.
His dope because he's got like he's kind of got his own vibe going that I really like. It's super laid back, but he's got dope lyrics and he's like a dope feel to his music, and then of course Alchemist producing him. Alchemist is killing it.
Someone I just discovered recently because of you is BlackLiq. You know, the album Time is the Price that you produced for BlackLiq. Super dope, and I like that you're not on there spitting, you're just on there producing, you know, and you're fucking flaunting your skills in that regards, which is great. Do you guys have any more, you know, works in the near future that you guys are working on?
Yeah, we're like 70% done with the follow-up album, basically. We just have like a couple more songs that we need to make, but that should be out by June, July this year.
Hard.
I'm finishing up the mixing and mastering of Jesse the Trees album, which I produced.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit.
That's gonna be it's gonna be dope. It's got I produced the whole thing. It's got I don't know if have you guys heard of Backwoods?
Not Backwoods.
Which is like okay, so like when you guys know about Arm & Hammer?
Nope.
Okay,
and you're
Alchemist produced the album for these dudes, Arm & Hammer.
Okay.
Which is Elucid and Billy Woods, and I just discovered them like a year and a half ago, and those dudes have they kind of found their own lane.
Where are they out of?
I think they're out of New York.
Okay.
But they're on their own shit. They're doing they got kind of their own style, and it's dope. Like they're both dope writers, dope rappers.
That's hard to find right now with people.
Yeah, and they have their own
style.
They have their own like crew that they mess with, and a label that they put stuff out of that has dope shit too. So, so we got that dude Premrock, who's on their label, was on the Jesse album. We got Sage is on that album, so it's dope.
Dope,
that's sick.
So that should be out within hopefully the next month.
A lot of work.
Month or two.
Is Sage is making music still? What are you?
Yeah, man. He's I think he's trying to figure out like, you know, how to balance work-life shit, you know.
For sure.
But as far as I know, he's got a bunch of stuff that he's working on. I think he's trying to be smart and strategic about what he puts out next, kind of thing.
Smart, yeah. And he's got so many different fires going on at once. It's like that could take a backseat for once.
He hasn't put anything out since Copper Gone, so he's been doing like the one-off stuff. Like he did a song. He did the Party McFly stuff on my EP. He did the songs on Alexander Brown's album, Glow Kid, and then he did this song for Jesse. So I think he's just trying to figure out what his next move's gonna be.
I think Sage gave Mr. Sacco to someone on that music video, right?
Did he? I think he did.
He put the sock on, and he gave.
He looks like he would give a Sacco out, though. He looks like a Sacco giver.
Which is super dope because we're wrestling fans.
Yeah, Mick Foley.
And I kind of relate.
Foley is God.
I kind of relate the moniker change to like a wrestler reinventing himself. You know, reinventing.
I mean,
gimmick,
dude,
you know?
honestly, it was like very Doom, MF Doom, wrestler kind of vibe. I was like, and also like I don't know if you guys know about Roddy Dangerfield, but when he originally came up as a comedian, he went under the name Jack Roy. And he was very like 1950s, kind of clean cut, you know, wore a suit and shit, slicked his hair back, kind of style. Didn't make it, so he stopped doing it. He like got married. He was doing some other shit as a salesman, and then got divorced. And then he went and became Roddy Dangerfield, which is like a complete 180 from what he was before. So all that shit together, and again, I think with Doom passing, like I was a Doom fan. In wrestling, that was definitely the vibe for the name change.
The gimmicks.
I feel like a different person. Like I'm not 17 years old anymore. I'm a 40-year-old dude who's been through like a bunch of shit. So I feel like I need a new look. I need a new outfit. You know what I mean?
I feel like
a new mask and shit. So
and I feel like a lot of times the artists, they get stuck with their name. Like you were talking about, you weren't feeling prolific for a while, and you had that name Mopes kind of digging up. And I feel like a lot of people get stuck with their name because they're, you know, this is what they started when, like you said, you're young with, and now it's a name, and that's the name, and you can't fucking change it. Like Slug, I'm sure Slug doesn't.
Onto it.
Yeah, I'm sure Slug doesn't love Slug.
Like, this is who you are. You're like this. You're like this. Like they pigeonhole you.
Exactly.
And it's just like, nah. I'm a fucking human being was like always evolving. So it's like I'm not just
I feel that.
I'm not just a kid who put out Ugly Truth. I'm not just a kid who put out Alarm Clock. Like, I'm a grown ass man now. Like,
and you've seen, and
completely different style.
I think you even seen it in the graffiti world too. A lot of people would write one name, and then in a few years they'd be writing a different
because it's funner. Sure. It's fun. It's fun to switch it up.
Yeah, why I don't want to write the same letters all the time.
Well, and honestly too, I was like, I was hungry, man. I was like, fuck, if I'm gonna do this, let's do it from the bottom. You know what I mean? Like if people gonna have to catch up.
Right here. Good. I got a fan question for you right here. A fan question from Frankie Fran. Frankie Fran is his name. Who took the photo for Alarm Clock set for 901?
Actually, he took the Francisco.
Exactly. Just want to make sure that was a trick question. Your boy Frankie Fran just wants you to give him the shout out.
Hell yeah.
And we're out here. Frankie, thank you for watching, bruh.
Hey, as we're unwinding here,
hit him.
You know, Prolyphic killed it with some live shows, man. Do you have any live shows coming up? I would love to see Mopes on tour.
Yes.
Yeah, so I got to figure that out. Just with like, I have so much shit that I'm working on that I need to wrap up.
For sure.
That I have to put together a set. And then like with the pandemic, I've heard like a lot of people who were putting tours together and just like it folding, you know, because of restrictions or whatnot. So
vaccines.
I was kind of just, vaccine stuff. So I was like, I'm going to wait, and also I wanted to have more music out under the name Mopes.
For sure.
Like I didn't want to just put out like the EP. I didn't want to just put out the one album. I wanted to have like a bunch of stuff out there. So when I'm out there on the road, I'll probably perform some older Prolyphic stuff, and I'll have a bunch of new Mope stuff that I can perform. So I'm hoping by like the end of 2022 that I'll have a set ready, because I've got so much stuff that I'm working on. I haven't had any time to actually like practice a set, like memorize all my stuff, like go through like how I'm gonna set the songs up. So I just gotta sit down and do it. And then like, you know, kids and stuff. So it's like I gotta figure out the timing of all that. But yeah, I've had a couple of show offers that I'm definitely gonna follow up on. I'm hoping like end of 2022.
Well, anytime you come to California, let us know, man. We'll show up at your
it's
show,
the plan, man. I'm hoping to take, you know, Jesse the Tree with me, or somebody else, maybe Black, like folks from my like the Strange Famous label, and we do like we do a run, like, and I don't think I can ever do like a 40 city tour thing anymore, because it's just, I don't have a big enough name, and it's a lot of like time away from my my kids. But I'm thinking about doing just like
select
5 show runs. Like just like 5 show runs in the West Coast, 5 show runs in the Midwest, 5 shows in the East Coast, and 5 in the South, and just kind of break it up like that.
Make it more manageable.
And it's a little bit more efficient too, where it's like, you know, when you're on the road for 2 months, like you're filling up these gaps of all these places that you're not sure if you're going to make anything. So being a little more strategic and places that I go. But I'll be out there.
Hell yeah.
Just gotta get my shit together.
Looking forward to it. You mentioned a few times about being a father. Me and Matt are both fathers. I have 2 kids. Matt has 2 kids. So we kind of understand that. How has that changed you? Because I was just thinking about this. As a writer, when you're making music, are you more conscious knowing that you have children that are going to listen someday? They're going to probably hear this song. Are you more conscious about your writing?
Pretty much, man. I mean, well, first off, they're a huge inspiration to just for me to keep working, like just keep moving, keep grinding, keep trying to get better. They teach me just as much as I teach them, you know. And my kids are 7 and 4 now. And I mean, they're all over Unwound, man, as far as just like their influence, like, you know, they're like a huge part of my life. And I think in some ways they help give me purpose, know?
Of course.
Because like, you know, you hit a point when you're like, you know, I hit a point. I was just like, man, this like, it's kind of gloom and doom. It's like none of this shit matters, you know, and in the grand scheme of things, like in the universe, like, me putting out music is a drop in an infinite bucket. But when you have kids, it's like you're trying to set an example, and you're trying to inspire them, you know. So it kind of worked. They inspired me to get back into music, you know, and I hopefully my music at some point inspires them of like, this is who I was as a person, you know.
Of course.
When you guys were kids and shit, you know.
Of course,
yeah, definitely.
and it was dope shit. I don't want to be white.
Hell no, yeah, and I just find that interesting because I know like as a younger kid without kids, I would had a totally different mindset, and putting words on paper would have been totally different compared to what I would be writing as a parent now. Yeah. Just because I'd be more conscious, and I know they're gonna listen.
I was gonna say just like the explicitness, like exactly. I definitely think about. Like I watch what I not like swearing word, like not like
of course.
Like cuss words or whatever. But I try to watch what I say when it comes to saying something that might be controversial or saying something that's like too personal. So I try to, just be smart about it.
Yeah. In that sense, though, it makes you a better writer because then you're thinking of other ways to sharpen the tool in another sense.
You're not just going with the easy shit.
And I feel like that. I feel you. I feel you for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because fuck, man, I want them to, again, I hope that they look back and they're just like proud of like of me just doing what I want to do and doing what I love.
Well, you're
gonna hopefully that influences them to do what they love.
Through your music, you're gonna live forever. So they have something for you
to play
forever, which is awesome. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
You're a bad motherfucker. Let's just get that out of the way.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks,
other than that, last thing between us, what's a guilty pleasure you're bumping right now? Give us a guilty pleasure. Something you're like, man, these motherfuckers ain't looking. I'm turning it on. Fuck it. We got to get one out of everybody. Let's get a good one. Don't bullshit us.
Let me think. I love the Encanto soundtrack.
Dude, you're a thug, bro. That's how my house played.
Fucking tell my wife. I was at work the other day. I was working the other day, and I'm singing all these Encanto songs in my head. And I came home the next day, and I told my wife, I was like, that soundtrack might be the best Disney soundtrack of all time.
It's better than The Matrix. The movie was better than The Matrix.
Lin-Manuel Miranda is one of those dudes where I'm like, I'll see his like I don't know, like his freestyle raps. I'm just like, meh. Yeah. But the dude's got fucking talent. Like he's got talent as a songwriter and like
catchy.
The Moana soundtrack, he just.
The Moana soundtrack is hard as fuck too.
You'll catch yourself just singing that shit.
Just, my daughter loves that shit.
My kids love it. I can enjoy it. So I like.
I feel you.
I like that.
Talk about Bruno, So.
Dude, for
we
real.
Don't talk about
we
Bruno.
Don't talk about his ass at the house.
We bumping that shit.
Hey, good shit, bro.
I appreciate that one. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and I know it's a little bit later for you over there. I thank you so much for staying up. We're real fans of you, and we can't wait for your new music to come out, new production to come out, and hopefully catch you on tour, man. That would be awesome.
Yeah, man. So I'll make sure I stay in touch with you guys, and I'll send you guys like some exclusive stuff as it comes out.
We will.
I appreciate it. I want to show love to the folks who are showing it to me early in these stages of me going through the name change and me coming back. So I appreciate it.
Hell yeah, man. And we really appreciate you.
We salute you, bro. Big shots.
We would love all that, and we're gonna keep pushing that name, that Mopes. It's formerly known as Prolyphic, but it is Mopes now. We gotta just get rid of Prolyphic altogether.
Yep. Prolyphic's gone. Mopes is.
You got anything you want to shout out or promote before you cut out of here?
Yes, shout out to my kids sleeping in the bedrooms. Shout out to Jesse the Tree. Shout out to BlackLiq, Alexander Brown, Kaz1, Sage, the whole Strange Famous crew.
Frankie
Mom and Dad, Rhode Island. Providence Friars lost against Kansas tonight, but we still had a good season. So.
A good run. It's
Rhode Island forever.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Thank you, brother.
Once again, thank you so much for coming out and joining Milkcrates and Microphones, and hopefully we could talk to you again and do this again after maybe your next album. We'll get you back on and we'll talk a little bit more.
Sounds good.
Hell yeah.
Brother.
Have a great night.
Have a good night, brother. We appreciate you.
Enjoy your weekend, man.
Peace.